I caught my fiancée in bed with my best friend. "What are you gonna do? Cry?" she mocked. I just smiled and left. This morning, my phone was full of missed calls, from both of them. The sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of betrayal as I returned home, my heart light with the anticipation of a surprise Emily had planned. Our life together had been a canvas of shared dreams and laughter, with Mark, our best friend, adding the vibrant strokes of adventure. But as I opened the door to our cozy apartment, the dim lights and soft music whispered secrets I wasn't prepared to hear. The laughter from our bedroom was not the kind that promised joy, but rather it hinted at a different kind of intimacy, one that would shatter the world I thought I knew. What I discovered next would leave me standing at the precipice of a life-altering decision, with the echoes of their laughter haunting my every step. My name is Alex, and I thought I had it all figured out. The world seemed to spin just right, with every piece of my life fitting perfectly into place. I was engaged to Emily, a woman whose vibrancy and ambition were as infectious as her laughter, which could brighten the darkest of rooms. We met at an art exhibition, where her passion for life was as vivid as the colors on the canvas. It was like she was painted into existence just for me. Then there was Mark, my best friend, the glue that held our trio together. He had this uncanny ability to make you laugh even when your heart felt heavy. His easygoing nature and his gift for storytelling made every moment with him an adventure. Together, Emily, Mark, and I were what you might call the epitome of a modern family, or at least, that's what I believed. Our days were filled with shared experiences, from the thrill of hiking through the rugged mountains to the comfort of movie nights at home where we'd argue over who got to choose the film. Emily and Mark had this unique bond, often joking they could have been siblings in another life. Their camaraderie was something to behold, and it made our little circle feel complete. Life was good, or so it seemed. We were living in this bubble of joy and companionship where every day was a new chapter in our collective story. But beneath this serene surface, a storm was brewing, one that I was blissfully unaware of. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows, over our cozy living room, the first signs of this storm began to show. Emily's laughter, usually so free, seemed forced, her eyes not quite meeting mine. It was a typical Friday night. Emily had planned a surprise for me, something she said would make the weekend unforgettable. She sent me on a wild goose chase, around town collecting clues that would lead me to our special destination. Each clue was a memory, a reminder of our journey together. The first clue took me to the park where we had our first date, a simple picnic under the stars. The second led me to the coffee shop where we shared our dreams over lattes, and the third was at the bookstore where we spent hours lost in the world of novels. The final clue directed me back to our apartment, where I expected to find her waiting with a romantic setup. My heart was racing with anticipation as I approached our home. I opened the door quietly, expecting to surprise her back. The lights were dim, and soft music played in the background, setting the stage for what I hoped would be a night of love and laughter. I tiptoed towards our bedroom where I heard muffled laughter. My mind raced with possibilities. Maybe she had set up a surprise party, or perhaps she was just getting ready for our special evening. But as I got closer, the laughter didn't sound like it was meant for me. It was intimate, secretive, and it sent a chill down my spine. I pushed the door open slightly, just enough to peek inside. What I saw next would haunt me for the rest of my life. Emily was there, but not alone. Mark was with her, their bodies entwined in a way that left no room for misinterpretation. They were caught in a moment of passion, their laughter now a cruel echo of the joy we once shared. The sight was like a punch to the there they were, Emily and Mark, in our bed, wrapped in each other's arms, their laughter turning into whispers of love. My heart didn't just sink, it plummeted into an abyss. Emily's eyes met mine, and instead of the expected shock or guilt, There was a smirk. "What are you gonna do? Cry?" she mocked, her voice dripping with disdain. I stood there, frozen, as Mark looked at me with a mix of guilt and defiance. I didn't scream, didn't shout. Instead, I smiled, a smile that surprised even me. Without a word, I turned around and left, the door closing softly behind me. The night was a blur. I walked aimlessly through the city, my mind replaying the scene, over and over. The image of them together, the sounds of their intimacy, it was like a knife twisting in my gut. Every step I took felt like I was walking away from everything I had ever known. Streetlights cast long, lonely shadows as I wandered, the city alive with its own heartbeat, oblivious to the turmoil in mine. I found myself at the park where Emily and I had our first date. The bench where we sat, now empty, seemed to mock me with its silence. I sat down, the cold wood against my back, and stared into the night sky. The stars, which once seemed to shine just for us, now felt distant, cold. My thoughts were a storm, swirling with betrayal, confusion, and a burgeoning sense of freedom. As I sat there, the realization began to dawn on me. This wasn't just the end of a relationship. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I was the protagonist, not a supporting character in someone else's love story. I pulled out my phone, the screen lighting up my face in the darkness. There were missed calls from Emily, texts from Mark, but I ignored them. Instead, I dialed a number I hadn't used in years. "Hey, it's Alex," I said when the call connected. "I need a place to crash tonight. Can I come over?" The voice on the other end was warm, familiar. The next morning, I woke up in a hotel room, the city skyline a stark contrast to the turmoil inside me. My phone, which I had turned off the night before, was now buzzing incessantly. Missed calls. From Emily, from Mark, even from mutual friends who must have heard the news. I sat on the edge of the bed staring at the screen, contemplating my next move. Each call was a plea, an explanation, an apology, but I wasn't ready to listen. I needed space, time to process the betrayal. The image of them together, their bodies intertwined in a way that left no room for doubt about their intimacy, replayed in my mind. It was like a scene from a movie I never wanted to watch, yet it was my life now. I decided to go to the one place where I felt I could think clearly. The old cabin in the woods where Mark, Emily, and I had spent countless weekends. It was secluded, quiet, and far from the chaos of my current life. The drive was long, the road winding through the dense forest, each turn taking me further from the life I knew and closer to a solitude I desperately needed. The cabin came into view, its rustic charm unchanged, but today it felt different. It was no longer a sanctuary of shared laughter and warmth, but a place to confront my solitude. I parked the car, the engine's hum fading into the silence of the woods. As I walked up the familiar dirt path, the crunch of leaves underfoot was the only sound, a reminder of the times we'd walk this path together, laughing, planning our future. But now, every step felt heavy, laden with the weight of betrayal. I pushed open the door, expecting the familiar musty smell of wood and pine, but instead, I was met with the scent of someone else's presence. The air was different, charged with an energy that didn't belong to me or my memories. I moved through the cabin, my heart racing as I checked each room. The kitchen was empty, the living room untouched, but then I heard it. A soft, almost imperceptible sound from the back room. My heart sank as I realized the cabin was exactly as we had left it, untouched by time. But there, parked outside, was Mark's car. My heart raced as I approached the door, half expecting to find them together again. Instead, I found Mark alone, sitting on the porch, looking as if he hadn't slept all night. He stood up as he saw me, his expression a mix of relief and dread. "Alex, I need to explain," he started, but I cut him off. "No, Mark. I need you to listen. I told him everything. How I felt, how betrayed I was. Not just by Emily, but by him. My best friend. He listened, his eyes welling up with tears. I never meant for this to happen, Alex. It did. We talked for hours about our friendship, about Emily, about what we had lost. It was cathartic, painful, but necessary. We delved into the memories, the laughter, the shared dreams, now tainted by the betrayal. Mark spoke of how it began, a moment of weakness that spiraled out of control. He admitted to the nights they spent together, the intimacy they shared, all while I was blissfully unaware, planning our future. I thought I could stop it, Alex. I really did. Mark's voice broke, his hands trembling as he spoke. But every time I tried to pull away, she pulled me back in. It was like she was a part of me. I listened, my anger simmering down to a cold, hard knot in my stomach. You both made me feel like a fool, Mark. You were my brother and she was supposed to be my forever. How could you do this to me? He looked down, his voice barely above a whisper. I'm so sorry, Alex. I know words can't fix this, but I need you to know. I regret it every single day. The conversation ebbed and flowed, with moments of silence where the only sound was the wind through the trees, a stark reminder of the isolation I now felt. We talked about the future, about moving, on about forgiveness, though I wasn't. As I sat there, the weight of Mark's confession settled around us like a heavy fog. The screen of my phone lit up again, this time with a message from Emily. It wasn't an apology or an explanation. Instead, it was a confession. She had been struggling with her feelings for Mark for months, unsure of how to handle them. She admitted that she had planned the surprise not for me, but to confront her own emotions, hoping I would understand or at least leave her space to figure things out. I sat back, the weight of her words sinking in. Mark and I looked at each other, the bond of our friendship now irrevocably changed, but not entirely broken. We decided to part ways, not as enemies, but as people who had shared a significant part of their lives, now needing to find new paths. Left the cabin with a heavy heart, but also with a sense of closure. My phone was still buzzing with calls from Emily, but I knew I had to move forward, alone, but with the lessons learned from love and betrayal. The drive back was long, the road stretching out before me like the chapters of my life that were yet to be written. Each mile marker felt like a step towards healing, towards understanding that sometimes the end of one chapter is just the beginning of another, more profound journey. The city skyline came into view, its lights twinkling like stars that once seemed to shine just for Emily and me. But now, they were just lights, impersonal and distant, reflecting the new reality I was stepping into. I parked the car, the engine's hum fading into the quiet of the night, and I sat there for a moment, absorbing the silence, the solitude. Knew I had to confront the future, not just with the pain of betrayal, but with the strength I had found in myself. The calls from Emily continued, each one a reminder of what was, but also a push towards what could be. I turned off my phone, deciding that tonight I would sleep without the noise of the past intruding on my dreams. As I walked into my new apartment, the emptiness was both a comfort and a challenge. The walls were bare, the rooms echoing with potential. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.